Days before the tornadoes hit, we gave you the first alert.
Right now, we're going with a first alert weather day for Saturday. Days in advance, we saw this storm system coming, and we don't say it just as a throwaway. We want to make sure that you're thinking ahead of time. You're getting your family prepared. This is why we first alert.
This video from a WSMV4 viewer shows a possible tornado from Ripsteel Road in Columbia.
And elsewhere in Murray County, we're seeing this stunning video from Spring Hill. This is a tornado here caught on camera. Crews are all across the mid-state here bringing you our team coverage of these storms.
At least one person has died, and officials say multiple people have critical injuries.
And that's when I hollered at everybody to get in the closet, and the next thing we knew, we heard just seen sky. My house is gone.
Could tell something important was inside that camper, and then we see him come out with that dog, and he said he just did what he had to do.
So long as he's fine, that's all I care about. Everything else can be replaced.
If there was ever a question what 140-mile-per-hour winds could do, just look behind me. There's a 36-foot RV that's laying on its side tonight.
We saw the storm kind of shift our direction. That's why we're watching you, is because you've got a radar that's right on time and kept us informed. I told my wife to go to the closet and grab our motorcycle helmets, because you preach, grab a helmet, and that probably saved a lot of people.
I'm glad you were watching that night, for sure.
Thankful for you and Channel 4 helping us get through it.
There's something so uniquely sinister about him.
I also kept my socks as DNA evidence. I still don't know what happened to that evidence.
Obviously, there has been a breach in public safety.
People like me are falling through the cracks.
This story made the news in Tarek's hometown.
They had so many case files on this guy, and they just allowed him to keep going.
Do you feel that police ultimately failed you?
I do. They failed a lot of us.
What do you say to those women that would never get justice?
There's nothing you can say.
This person was a predator.
I think he's a predator.
I had no idea that I was going to a predator.
Mr. Menturi, is there anything that you want to say to your accusers?
I don't speak English.
You're making a joke at this time? I don't think those women would find that funny.
I don't speak English.
For women like Kelly Cochran, Ashley Watkins, and Julia Stone, though, there would be no justice. So much time had passed since filing their police reports, the statute of limitations had run out.
They absolutely dropped the ball. It's not the victim's fault that this took so long.
It would take 25 women filing police reports over a 4-year period before Menturi would be arrested on sex crimes charges. These are all the police reports that have been filed about you by women. 25 women.
Oh, was it 25 women? Wow.
You don't know?
I didn't know it was that many.
If they had arrested you when the first complaints came in, would you have stopped?
There would have been a major change to my behavior in terms of, obviously I would have been meeting women online less or luring them into my home less.
I saw it coming down. It like went above our head, pretty close to us, and then it hit and exploded. On the side of the freeway? Yes, ma'am.
All of the eastbound lanes are closed at this hour, and you'd imagine just from what we can see that they will be closed for quite some time.
We are fortunate that the aircraft did not hit any buildings as it went down.
This is a new look that we have just gotten into the newsroom here exclusively with one of our sources that works with our investigates team. That is the impact. And then here it is, the aftermath. And you talk about there it goes again, of that aircraft crossing over that camera really quickly, and that it ends up in that small swath of grass.
That impact was catastrophic and did not leave any survivors.
They can't even make out a tail number to track at this point.
Runway 2, clear to land. I'm too far away, I won't make it.
Yeah, that's the final transmission heard from the pilot before a small plane crash.
I heard it sputtering, okay? Sputter, sputter, sputter.
5 people died in that crash, 3 children and 2 adults.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Hi, I don't have an address. I'm trying to file a missing persons report. We're here on a fraternity formal trip. It's one of my good buddies.
His name is Riley Strain.
Riley, we're still here, Bubba. We're coming for you. Just help us find you.
Surveillance video shows college student Riley Strain stumble away from Broadway alone. It has been 4 nights now since the 22-year-old went missing after a night out in downtown Nashville.
People working at this smoke shop say they saw him walk by.
His mother was here. She asked me, she was crying. She asked me about him. If I seen him, I told her I seen him outside.
Crews are analyzing newly released video of a missing college student.
And you're looking at it here. It shows Riley Strain talking briefly with a Metro Police officer on the night he disappeared.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. My company works on the river. I have just found a dead body. I believe it to be Riley.
We are on top of breaking news right now. Crews have pulled a body from the river that they say belongs to Riley Strain.
I just ask that you mamas out there hug your babies tight tonight, please. Please, for me.
On a Monday afternoon, when most kids are at school or in daycare, this little girl finds herself in a dangerous situation. The 2-year-old is standing along the I-40 West off-ramp at White Bridge Road.
What's your child's name?
And she's just feet away from multiple lanes of traffic exiting the interstate.
It is a dangerous situation for her to be on the road.
And listen to what else he tells the 2 adults who are with that little girl.
Because you have your 2-year-old with you guys out here while you guys are panhandling, that is a big no-no. She could run inside the street and she can get hit.
They're panhandling with small kids in tow. And as our cameras captured, they're not the only ones. Do you think that's safe?
It's not your problem. I say, please go.
It's a different day, but the same intersection.
I don't need nothing.
We found another pair of adults with a small child. And again, they are just feet away from multiple lanes of traffic. Here's another example. A woman holding a baby close to cars, driving off 440 at Hillsborough Pike, while a man panhandles nearby.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
And it's not just in Nashville. Listen as a woman calls 911 in Murfreesboro to report a similar situation.
Then there's a man right there, and it looks to be like with a blanket, with an infant on the blanket. I'm just concerned if they don't have food and money and place to live about this child.
Your heart kind of aches for these children.
Very much so. Very much so.
Kate Greer works for the Tennessee Department of Children's Services. She says while this would warrant a response, more would be needed for a DCS investigation.
In itself, poverty, needing money, wanting money in that manner is not necessarily abuse or neglect, nor is it against the law. We look at things like, are they being harmed? You know, are they being neglected? Are they supposed to be in school?
When DCS does respond to these cases, they say their goal is to offer help. But this panhandler told us he didn't want help.
It's not your problem. I say, please go. Leave me alone, please.
Is there a way we can help you?
No, nothing. I don't need nothing. Thank you.
But your sign says you need help, so is there a better way to help?
Stop, I say, and then go.
Is there a better way to help?
Nothing.
Metro Officer Alcius got a similar response from the people he approached.
Do you guys need help with housing, help with food, help with anything, so that we know how to better help you? This will not happen again, because if it does, then it's going to be a problem.
But what if it does happen again? Metro Police say officers could take action under a Tennessee code that makes it illegal to block a public road.
We have to make sure she's okay. You guys are adults. She's a baby.
You heard the officer there tell these women that if they come back with the child, there would be a problem. How often, though, is MNPD actually arresting people under that Tennessee code? At least 157 times since last year. But we're still working to learn if any of those arrests involved adults panhandling with small children.
The unthinkable happens. Arrested and charged for drunk driving, but completely sober.
You're making a mistake. I have not been drinking.
And if you thought this was a rare event, you'd be wrong.
They have traumatized my son. They have traumatized me.
Chief Investigator Jeremy Finley uncovers case after case of wrongful DUI arrests by local police departments and reveals the devastating effects it's had on lives.
This has destroyed my life.
Watch WSMV4 News Thursday at 6.
One look at how William Rose performs on his field sobriety test, and you can see why he's in trouble.
But I was scared to death.
Scared and confused, because Rose was completely sober.
I kept telling him, I said, sir, you're making a mistake. I have not been drinking. I'm not impaired.
So you may be thinking it's a rare case. Except it also happened to Bill Shank in Clarksville. His DUI arrest was plastered all over a local media outlet.
It feels surreal. It's like a joke.
And to Katie Slayton in Franklin. She was arrested in front of her child's daycare. Sober Middle Tennesseans arrested for DUI. And as a result, they say their lives are ruined.
We lost close to $30,000 between legal fees and impound fees.
Slayton, who was charged with DUI and felony child neglect, had her child removed by DCS for 9 weeks.
They have traumatized my son, they have traumatized me.
But hold on, you may be thinking, didn't all these people fail field sobriety tests? Well, our investigation found completely sober people can perform badly, especially if they have health issues. So why not just use a breathalyzer to immediately show that they were sober?
I asked for a breathalyzer, they refused one. They said, we don't do them in Murfreesboro.
In fact, many police departments no longer use breathalyzers.
Why not use a breathalyzer each time? That would at least tell you if that person had been drinking alcohol.
So many people that we see now, they're under the influence, but it's not necessarily alcohol.
The average wait to get toxicology tests back, which completely exonerates a person from any impairment, is 3 months. But we found that's not what happened in these cases. Both Rose and Shank had to wait nearly twice that long.
Is that acceptable?
No. No, that's not acceptable.
Behind the story.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Hara. This is Chief Investigator Jeremy Finley. And Behind the Story is an opportunity for us to talk to you on a deeper level about some of the stories that we've covered. And your investigation last week, Jeremy, I think was a stunner for a lot of people. Essentially, the headline is, you could be sober, but still charged with driving under the influence.
Right. It is so astonishing to us, even after we found these cases, that it's hard to believe that it happens, but we have found that it does.
Covenant families have been pushing for change since last year's shooting.
March 27th was nothing short of a life-changing event, and some Covenant parents are very clear when they say, we are not okay. We've seen several families begin to become politically active, and 2 Covenant mothers shared with our Amanda Hara new ways that their children are struggling, both physically and emotionally.
Some photographs are worth 1,000 words, but this one will leave you speechless.
You were one of the only parents who was able to reunify with your child before the actual reunification at the nearby church.
As I was peering through the glass of the fire station, he caught eyes with me and he ran up to the window. And he screamed. He said, "Mom, come inside." He said, "Please, Mom." I said, "Put your hand right here." And so we held hands through that glass, and that's how we were reunited with one another.
Melissa Alexander's son survived the Covenant School shooting. So did Mary Joyce's daughter, Monroe.
She saw her face. She said she had an angry face, and she was screaming at them, and she stuck that gun in the window of their classroom and just started shooting. She's lost over 50% of her hearing on her left side. Her right side has declined as well, and it's because she was closest to the door. They are not okay. We are not okay.
1 year later, both families are learning what it really means to survive.
You're alive and you lived through that, but you're dealing with the heartache for the rest of your life and the trauma and the pain and the scars and the nightmares. She doesn't sleep in her own bed still. For a while, she was running intruder drills in our house, sitting at the top of the stairs, staring out the window and practicing where she would hide and how fast she would run in our house.
Mary and Melissa have added dogs to their homes. It brings comfort to their children. But for them, comfort is best found through action. You're a longtime gun owner, conservative values, and now advocating for gun reform.
I think the two can coexist.
I don't want any one of you to feel what this feels like.
Both mothers spent the special session pushing for bills that would have required safe storage of guns, kept guns away from people with mental illness, and enhanced background checks. Not one of those bills were passed. Some people might say, this is an uphill battle. We live in a Republican-controlled state with a Republican-controlled legislature. How do you respond to that?
I think we're raising up a new kind of era of Tennesseans that are paying attention. I think we are giving space for conservative voices to speak up.
In a few short weeks, their children will return to the Covenant School classrooms for the first time. Are there any parents who have made the decision, we're not going to return this year?
There have been parents that have made that decision, but they're letting their children lead and doing what's best for their family.
Mary and Melissa say what's best for their families is to keep climbing the steps to the Capitol.
We can't go home to our children that survived a mass shooting, that lost their friends, and throw up our hands. I will not be able to live with myself if I don't use my voice, and we together are going to keep going. We aren't going anywhere.
Tonight at 10, chaos at the state capitol. A bill to let teachers carry guns in the classroom is headed to the governor's desk.
Senate Bill 1325, having received a constitutional majority, I declare passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is tabled.
This is the reaction of rage, hurt, and anger.
This is what started it all. Tennessee representatives passing a bill that will soon allow teachers to carry guns in schools across the state. And chaos erupted.
And it wasn't just, a motion of we want to be loud. There was mothers in there crying.
Dozens of people screaming and chanting just inches away from the House floor.
Power to the people!
And they acted out a die-in, laying on the ground in silence. High school students took over Legislative Plaza, crying out to state leaders.
I shouldn't have to be told to zigzag in the hallway because it's harder to hit a moving target. I shouldn't have to text my parents for the last time saying I'm scared. This is a school shooter. It shouldn't have to be my teacher.
Tonight, a TBI investigation is underway into the death of workers at a plastics plant. Employees say they were not allowed to leave in enough time to escape the floodwaters.
Now, this comes as state officials face questions of why so many people were caught off guard by the floodwaters, including hospital workers trapped on a roof. Courtney Allen is in Unicoi County, where several workers died at a plastics factory, and our chief investigative reporter, Jeremy Finley, is looking into how soon people were warned about the storm.
The road to the plastics plant is closed, but we did talk to an employee who says he was swept away by the floodwaters and was able to get to the top of a semi-truck to get to higher ground. He believes this all could have been prevented if the company acted sooner. This was the moment Jacob Ingram was rescued by a helicopter, waiting as others were hoisted up.
Only 5 of us made it.
He says he was with co-workers from Impact Plastics Friday. They'd been at the factory that day when Hurricane Helene floodwaters came through.
I actually asked one of the higher-ups, and they told me no, not yet, that they had to ask someone before we was able to leave, even though it was already above the doors and the cars and everything else.
At least 2 employees were killed. Another 6 and a contractor are still missing, according to Impact Plastics. So the company had released a statement saying that employees were dismissed when water covered the parking lot and adjacent road and the plant lost power.
No, the plant lost power, and we were still told not to go home or nothing. We were still there for about 15 to 20 minutes after the plant lost power.
Ingram believes those 20 minutes could have saved lives. Impact Plastics says most employees left immediately, but some remained on or near the premises for unknown reasons. So you're saying you're one of the last people that saw them?
She smiled right at me.
The owner of a nearby manufacturing facility
Been rescuing people, man. They've all come down here.
went to Impact Plastics to help get more workers out after he'd already sent his home.
I was there yelling at them to come. She was talking to her boss.
We've now talked to the family of one of the missing employees. She says her cousin called saying the water was reaching them at the factory, but by the time they were allowed to leave, it was too late. Karina Alonso hasn't heard this laugh since Friday.
She was so loving.
And the last time her cousin was seen was in these photos. 29-year-old Rosa Andrade is on the left as floodwaters began to rise around Impact Plastics.
She just said that when they let them out, it was already too late because cars were moving away with the water. And that's where she just lost it. She knew that maybe she wasn't going to be able to get out, especially if she doesn't know how to swim.
She doesn't know how to swim?
No.
Multiple employees are dead. Others, like Andrade, are still missing. And the factory, Impact Plastics, is now being investigated by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
Our analysis found that when the actual warning from the National Weather Service went out to people to evacuate, it was simply too late for many to escape. It's one of the images now synonymous with the East Tennessee flooding. Hospital workers trapped on the roof, having to be rescued by a helicopter. A review of warning data by WSMV4 Investigates shows how quickly it happened.
From tornadoes. This is it. This is it on the ground. There it is. That's the tornado on the ground. To powerful floods.
It's devastating to watch your lives go away in dumpsters.
To the underestimated dangers of lightning. Severe weather impacts us all. Tonight, we're taking a closer look at severe weather in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. From how it forms to how to stay safe. The WSMV4 First Alert Weather Team presents Surviving the Storm.
Over the next 30 minutes, our goal is to show you what to expect this severe weather season and what to do to get ready.
The rotation actually starts horizontally. It doesn't start vertically until we introduce a thunderstorm into the mix.
The National Weather Service will issue a tornado emergency. These are more rare to see, but they require immediate action.
Trusting your child to a daycare can be hard.
I feel like I let my daughter down.
And one family wonders if serious violations are being missed by the agency that's supposed to help keep your child safe.
I'd rather have my daughter here with me 24/7, knowing that she's well taken care of.
WSMV4's Amanda Hara uncovers multiple issues that could leave parents in the dark and reveals why you may want to do more research before choosing a daycare for your child. Thursday at 6 on WSMV4.
This is day 3 of the massive search. Time is of the essence here.
There is significant concern tonight about this sudden drop in temperatures. It is very cold. Sebastian has autism, and he's gone without his medication this whole time. And since then, authorities have searched by air, by foot, and on horseback.
Helicopters, drones, and dive teams have also been brought in to try to find him. Today, his parents spoke exclusively to our Holly Thompson.
She's live tonight in Sumner County. Holly, I imagine it was quite an emotional interview.
Certainly was. It is hard for any of us to imagine the emotions that this family is going through right now.
Chris and Katie tell me they've been harassed, people pointing fingers at them.
Are you both in the clear?
I can tell you that Mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully.
Even though Sebastian does have autism, he is a smart teenager. He is highly functional. They say if you see him, say his name, say Sebastian, and he'll respond.
Join WSMV4 in celebrating Black History Month.
Black artists are putting out some of the most critically acclaimed and best-selling country music, but many are saying they're not getting the support they need from their own community.
Country music as an industry has made it clear that it was not meant for a Black audience to consume, even though Black artists helped create this genre of music.
Friday at 6 on WSMV4.
It's a legacy the first Black woman master blender in the U.S. is working to keep intact.
We believe in pulling as we climb. If we don't bring others up, then we have not done what we set out to do.
Remembering the godfather of Tennessee whiskey and how one of his descendants is keeping his spirit alive one sip at a time. Plus,
it's really personal to me that in Music City,
that students have access to music education, but then they also have quality music education.
The sound of music in Nashville schools. We'll meet the man that's building on the footprint that ignited his passion and how he's setting the tone for students. And
her impact and her platform makes this such a huge deal. I mean, she's a first in many regards.
she's talking about Beyonce, who's making an iconic mark in the country music industry. Hear how the superstar's rollout could help bring visibility to other black country artists. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Marius Payton. We are in the Civil Rights Room at the main downtown library in Nashville. Built just blocks from where the legendary Nashville sit-ins occurred in the city's segregated lunch counters. In this Black History special, we're recognizing the contributions African Americans in Nashville have made since then. That includes the work that still needs to be done to establish equality throughout the many facets of life. We begin the night with representation in country music. It's a highly talked about genre now that Beyonce is exploring this part of the industry.
The way that we see ourselves and the way that others see us.
When Jack walks into a room, he lights up the whole room.
They see him as kind of a rock star.
Isn't always the same.
I don't think he quite understands the impact that he has had and can have on people.
Like most of us, Jack Bazeko underestimates the power that he holds. But just down the hall at Station Camp High School,
My name is Drew Van Huss.
a teacher sees Jack's strengths as superhuman.
You can make the world a better place just by being friendly to people.
It's not that unattainable to be a hero.
Absolutely.
Drew Van Huss is a social studies teacher,
And that's what's going to send us into the Great Depression.
but his real expertise is in good versus evil.
I'm looking around your classroom here. It's covered in comic book stuff.
Yes, there are a few maps here and there, but
Why?
every kid out there should be able to see themselves as a hero. Every kid should be able to see themselves as somebody who can make a positive difference in the world.
Let's start the parade!
Today,
every kid's a hero days here.
They do.
What did you get? Oh, a mask.
Jack Bazeko and special education students from across Sumner County
I'm here to save the day.
are in character.
Jack Bazeko. Jack, if you could come down.
But they're not just dressed for the part.
Come here, Jack. I got something special for you.
They're realizing the role they already play
Look at that.
for the people around them.
Super Jack. That's you.
No way.
That's you.
Every student
This comic is about you as a superhero.
is now the star
Don't worry, kids. I will save you.
of their own tailor-made comic.
We make the special education students the main hero of the comic books so that they're able to see themselves as a hero. This is my favorite moment of this day, is hearing you read this comic book.
Super Jack. That is so awesome. I love it.
Jack is beginning to see himself the way others do.
I'm strong like one.
And Drew Van Huss sees that something good is coming from his worst moment.
Doug was my dad's name. He had a sudden heart attack. That was a pretty traumatic experience in my life.
Is giving way to good.
Because he was the guy who kind of first got me into comics.
Everyone I've talked to said your superpower is friendship.
Friendship. Really?
Do you think that making other people happy is your superpower?
I think it is.
I think we're about ready to start. Are you ready?
I'm ready, Amanda.
This time around, Jack's self-portrait is a little more accurate.
I'm going to draw myself as a superhero.
He understands his power and how to use it.
The world's a dark and scary place, and we all want to go out there and make a change. You don't have to change the whole world to do that. You just have to go out and you have to change the world around you.
Jack, go like this. Super Jackson is here to save the day today.
More news for the state of Tennessee in about 10 minutes. Tennessee in 10 starts now.
We're going to start in East Tennessee, where 2 deputies came under fire from a man the sheriff says was ready for battle.
I'm Whitney Turner in the WVLT newsroom. The Blount County Sheriff is breathing a sigh of relief today.
By the grace of God, these deputies are still alive.
I'm Ariana Poindexter. Here are your top stories from West Tennessee. The Shelby County Health Department is alerting people to an alarming rise in new HIV and syphilis cases in Shelby County.
The video shows Morgan Wallen being arrested after police say he threw a chair from the 6th floor of Chief's Bar, which is on Broadway in Nashville. Police say Wallen almost hit officers who were standing in the road below.
Alleged gang members arrested in an effort to cut down on crime in South Memphis. Take a look at this body cam footage from Memphis police.
Come here, baby. Oh, this makes me so mad.
A Marshall County nonprofit found 28 cats and kittens dumped on the side of the road in Belfast. The cats were found in cages and plastic totes.
But the problem, Stefano, is that we're fighting rain and cloud cover in a lot of spots across the state.
Absolutely. The rain's not going to be widespread all day today, but the cloud cover is going to be stubborn at times as we work our way through the afternoon.
Thanks for joining us for Tennessee in 10. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning with a look at the big stories from across the state. Have a great day.
This is Tennessee in 10, streaming your news and weather across the state in about 10 minutes.
This is our home. At WSMV4, we care about your community, and it shows. From the American Heart Association
to the American Cancer Society
and the Alzheimer's Association, we walk alongside our community.